I've cooked a lot of tri-tip over the years. I've marinated it, I've reverse seared it, I've cooked it low and slow, I've even done it like a brisket. And honestly, I thought I had already found the best way to cook it. Then, an Argentine Pitmaster completely changed my mind. Today I'm going to be recreating his method exactly, and I think this may be the best tri-tip I've ever had. If you've watched this channel for a while, you might remember when I cooked a vacío. That's actually where I first discovered the Argentine Pitmaster, Al Fragoni. If you haven't heard of him, be sure to check him out on YouTube. He does fantastic cooks. At that time, I was looking for an authentic way to cook a vacío, and his videos really stood out. Now, I recently came across another video of his with Mad Scientist Barbecue where they are cooking a tri-tip. What caught my attention was there wasn't any crazy marinade or secret rub. It was literally just sea salt and an open fire cook, and he does it in a low and slow manner. And the way he cooked it completely changed my mind about how I thought about cooking tri-tip. So my go-to tri-tip has always been marinate it, cook it hot and fast, flipping it often. I've experimented with the reverse searing, I've smoked it low and slow. Like I said, I did it like a brisket, but I always come back to cooking it with that marinade. Marinade adds some nice flavor, tenderizes the meat a little bit, get a nice crust on there. The problem I have is you lose a lot of that delicious beefy flavor that tri-tip actually has. So when I saw Al skip all that and use his method of cooking, I knew it was a winner, because if it comes out nice, tender, and juicy, it's just gonna have phenomenal flavor because you're cooking it over open fire with just salt, and the tri-tip has such great beefy flavor. So in the two videos of Al I watched, there was two different cooking style methods depending on the kind of meat he used. Now with a tri-tip, it usually has a fat cap on one side. Unfortunately, the piece that I was able to get has been trimmed of all the fat. He didn't trim any fat on his tri-tip, and I 100% agree with that. If you're gonna cook open fire, leave all the fat on there. It's gonna help protect the meat when it's cooking, and it just adds fantastic flavors. So unfortunately, like I said, this one doesn't have a fat cap on it. But in the Mad Scientist Barbecue video they were cooking a Wagyu tri-tip. So in the method in that, he makes a U shape of coals underneath instead of making a bed of coals, since it didn't have a fat cap on it. So today, since this has no fat cap, we're gonna be doing that U-shape method, which works fantastic. Now, one thing I was a little surprised about was he just uses some sea salt on his tri-tip. So this is a super fantastic, easy cook, no trimming, just salt, open fire. You really can't get more basic than that. So now that we have just our sea salt on there, let's go set up this open fire cook to make this fantastic tri-tip. All right, so we gotta make sure we got good heat here on the grill. Al Fragoni's method is use your hand, put it over the grill. You should be able to hold it there for about 6 to 8 seconds. So let's see at this level where we are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's just about 6 right there. And you can see this grill grate is up pretty high, and you can see the U shape I had made, and I don't have a lot of coals down there, and this thing's putting off a lot of heat. And we also have our fire going over there, so we got to keep that in mind. So this level is pretty good for about 6 seconds, so I think we're good like that. Let's get our tri-tip, and we're going to go ahead and throw this on our grate. So as you can see, I take this thick part, and you want to keep that towards where the fire is, because you're going to have more heat coming that way. So keep your thinner end over here, but that's about it. We want to make sure we have good heat. Keep the coals going and rake them here as you need. But the way he did it, he's gonna let this go for probably 35 minutes, so that's what we're gonna do. I'll see you in about 35 minutes, and we will check on this tri-tip. All right, guys, it's been about 45 minutes on this. Another technique Al likes to use is taking his hands and touching the tri-tip to make sure that it warms all the way through. It's still a little cool. It's not warm yet, but I just was curious as the crust we're getting on the side, because again, we don't have a fat cap on this, so, but you can see we kind of got a nice crust here. So what I'm gonna do is give this a spin kind of just reverse it a little bit. We're gonna let it go probably for another 15, then we'll come back out and give it a flip. All right, so it's been another 15 minutes. When I touch it now, we're nice and warm. That's what we're looking for. Let's see how we got on a crust here. That's a nice crust. So we're gonna go ahead and flip this. That's a beautiful looking tri-tip right now. And what I want to do is get this thicker section towards where that fire is, because that's going to give some radiant heat as well. So we're probably going to cook this for another 30 minutes or so. Now Al Frugoni does the poke and feel test. I'm not a good enough cook to do that. So we're going to get an internal temperature reading, and we're looking for about 130 degrees on this. So we'll come back out here, check on it in a short while. All right guys, so it's been about 20-30 minutes here on the tri-tip. It's looking really good. I want to get a temp check. We're a little high. I'm about 145 here. I took this a little hotter than it should have gone, but let me raise this up so we don't cook it any longer. But it should still be fantastic. I'm super excited about this because you can see here you still got all this nice red meat. So I'm going to take this off, let it rest, and then we'll slice into it and see how it came out. So when I first found Al Frugoni, when I was looking up that Fusillo video, I was incredibly impressed. He is one of my favorite chefs out there and an expert on Argentine style open fire cooking. So like I said, if you have not heard of Al Frugoni, check his YouTube channel out. He is one of the best, I'm gonna say the best open fire Argentine style cooks out there. So I'm super excited to give this a try. Let's slice it up and see how this thing tastes. Super juicy. That is a delicious cut of steak right there. So like I said, it was a little high in temperature. You could see the red medium rare is beautiful. Did get a little gray in this area here. So let's go ahead and slice up some delicious slices and see how this came out. All right guys, so here's our tri-tip. This actually came out a lot better than I thought it would, just because I had overcooked it a little bit. You saw I brought it up to around 145. Not ideal for tri-tip, but you can see still nice and beautifully red in there. A tad overcooked, I'm not gonna lie. I did overcook it a little bit, should still be good. But don't let that take away the method of Al Frugoni's tri-tip. It is fantastic. You can see this is nice and tender. Let me go ahead and give it a try. So juicy, so tender. All you get is beef, salt, and fire, and that is really all I need. This is so good. Such a fantastic method of cooking tri-tip. This is delicious. The best thing to serve up with some tri-tip is a little chimichurri sauce. If you don't want to take the time to make a chimichurri, which if you want to make a fresh chimichurri, it's just out of this world. But if you want something quick and easy, Al Frugoni actually makes a chimichurri dry rub. And if you mix it up with some oil and vinegar, you basically have yourself a homemade chimichurri. Now, I wanted to get Al Frugoni seasoning. I was looking for some chimichurri seasoning a while back, and it wasn't available in time that I needed it. So I picked up this Spiceology chimichurri, which I'm sure is pretty similar. So I took some of that dry rub, threw it in here with some oil and vinegar, and I got a quick chimichurri to put on this steak. But with a nice piece of tri-tip, the only thing that can make it better is a little chimichurri sauce. So let me give that a shot. Yep, that's just out of this world. Absolutely fantastic. Such a great method to cook a tri-tip. But if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe right over here. And I'll leave the link to the Fusillo video, another delicious Argentine style cut of meat, right over here. But most importantly, get out there and smoke something good.